I said Mr. Joe Solms is the managing director of Plantco South Africa, a company that is very, very well known in South Africa, and of course in the southern African region for the for infrastructure, building of farms, and planning of farms. And we want Mr. Soames is very, very vast. He has around 50 years, almost 50 years in the industry, and we are happy to host him today to come and share his wealth of knowledge with us, and in what we call proper infrastructure in pig farming. And as it engages and also is related with the production of waste, because it is very, very important that, and of course, building and infrastructure is one of the basic pillars of pig farming, apart from feeding and apart from genetics. The environment of the animal is very, very important, and yeah, this is one of the topics we're going to. This is the topics, of course, we're going to be treating today. So I will not hold up any longer. So I will have to leave the floor for Mr. Joe Solms. So, Joe, please, it's over to you. Let us have, yeah, so you can share your screen, please. Please share your screen so that, yeah, you can see your presentation. Okay.
Have you got it on the screen there?
Not yet. Not yet. So share the screen. Look for the green button.
Yeah, I've got it.
And you share the presentation. Okay, something is coming up. Okay, so if you don't mind pressing the small button on top of the language, English, that button on top of.
There you are.
Okay, perfect. So the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Tommy. I just want to say thank you for the honor to be able to share a little bit of our knowledge with everybody that's linked in. And I just want to mention just a little bit of introduction of Plantco, so we know where we are there. In Plantco is a company that we started in 1977. And we basically supply dairy equipment, pig farming equipment, agricultural and crop farming and feed mills. Our main line is actually pig farming. And my passion is pigs. I really enjoy pigs. So that is why I always don't mind sharing with everybody on there. Just in a short introduction of Plantco therein. And I would really like anybody that we can finish, once we finish the presentation, for some answer and question on, and I'd really like to answer all the questions if possible. I don't say I'm 100% expert, but after all the years, we've managed to get 99% of the answers right. The topic today is on eco-friendly infrastructure and solution and waste management. I looked at it, I was going to go more a lower pace down on the pig farming because my knowledge spreads quite far into Africa. And I thought that with all the good genetics that we've got now, the pigs need to have better infrastructure and better buildings. So my topic is going to go to expose a little bit more of the modern farming side with a little bit of mix on the lower management section.
Sorry, Joe. Can you change your screen also with the arrow button as you
Yes,
go?
yeah,
Don't forget.
yeah.
Thank
I'm
you.
gonna, yeah, okay, sorry.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
Yeah. Most of the supplying equipment that we spread into Africa, the countries that we are representing in that we've worked with are South Africa, Namibia, Zimbabwe, Zambia, a little bit in Tanzania and Kenya and Botswana. So that is the countries, but we are open. We've done mills in Ethiopia at Addis Ababa. So we do spread a little bit out there. Most of the equipment that we use and going to discuss today is manufactured by Plant Core and Skjold in Denmark, MP Engineering in China, MIC in Germany, Rutecna in Spain, Skof, the ventilation in Denmark, and Dynamic Engineering in Thailand. They mostly do our PVC slats. All right, so on the topic therein, it's actually, thank you for reminding me there. I've got a little bit knotted in there. We could have looked at that funny picture for the whole presentation. Yeah. So we're going to look a little bit at buildings and criteria that we're going to look at to design, whether it's a small piggery or a big piggery, which suits the new genetics of today. I always say that the new genetics today is like a racehorse. You take it off the track and off the stables and you put it in the felt, it normally doesn't perform so well. But the new genetics that we've got available in Africa today is from such a high standard that a little bit of good housing and look after, you can achieve these points that I've got here in front. When we design, we look at a furrowing per year of about 2.4, 2.3, 2.4, weaning about 33 piglets from a sow, marketed 29 pigs from a sow a year, and very important is to reach 110 kg live weight at 21 weeks. The feed conversion and the finishing side, we're looking to achieve a 2.4, 2.3, 2.4 feed conversion from 23 to 100 kgs. A herd feed conversion, when I say a herd feed conversion, is for all your sows and everything and the kgs that you supply. That to me is the most important factor. You can have a good feed conversion on a finishing and a bad one on your sow side, but a 3.4 herd feed conversion, you're making money. Another factor that we look at is pig flow. That when you put your houses out that you can have, if you look just on this picture here, is that you have a circle movement of pigs, that the sows don't go backwards and forwards, that you have a circle going on. I've got a little, it's very, very important. And we'll go in a little bit more deeper into that once we've gotten the different sections of the buildings. I've divided our talk today into these 6 sections: the breeding section, early gestation, furrowing, weaning, and finishing. I know in the smaller farms, it's sometimes not easy to split the different sections, that you have to have a combination of weaning and finishing. But if you aim for that all-in, all-out system, which we'll discuss a little bit later on, you will definitely achieve a better feed conversion. I've just got a few drawings here of little designs for a 100-sow unit. Any operation under 300 sows, we like. Hello? Are you there?
Yeah, please, go on.
Yeah, okay. For our smaller units, we advise that you go to a 3-week furrowing system. The reason why we do that is that you can have bigger groups. With the 3-week furrowing system, people think that you're going to have only market every 3 weeks, but it's not. You're furrowing 1 week, you inseminating the next week, and you wean the next week. So your groups are much bigger. It's actually a topic of its own therein, but you have a much more all-in out system, even on a smaller. You can even take on a 21-sow unit. You know, if we look here on you've got all your sows together there on that section with your AR or natural insemination. You've got your furrowing, you've got your weaning, and you've got your finishes. So your groups are much bigger. Like on a 21-sow unit, you will have 3 sows furrowing at a time, and that will give you 36-40 piglets per batch, instead of having 1 sow every week that you have to furrow. On the bigger units, it's much, much easier, because you've got much bigger groups. You've got your gilt development there, you've got your breeding, you've got your gestation section, you've got your furrowing, your weaners, and then you've got your finishes that you've got. So your groups is much better. In the breeding side, if we start looking, what is very important, once we've taken them, I just want to go back a slide. Here is a farm, it's a 4,800 sow site, what we call the breeding section that we're busy building at the moment. This is over here is the insemination section and breeding, gilt development. These 2 houses are early gestation. Then you've got 1, 2, 3 gestation houses, and then your 5 furrowing houses. Right. Let's take every compartment on its own. On the breeding side, the important factors that we've got to look at is you've got to have a cool area or cool building, either mechanical ventilation or alternatively with good insulation over the roof to keep that section cold. The bores and the small units, sometimes you can't put them all aside. That can be in as long as these bores pens are closed, that they don't actually see the sows, but the sows will smell them. From there, the boars can then walk. If you look at this slide here, there's the boar gates in front where the boars tease. That's for artificial insemination. Alternatively, you'll have a pen with a sow on both sides of it to stimulate the sows. The crates where we inseminate in, minimum 620, 650 centimeters wide and 2.4 meters long. Another very important section, which even on a small farm that you have to do something, is to have light, at least 400 lux or good strong light for 14 hours a day. The reason why it is there is that the moment when the winter comes from February, where your days are getting shorter, the sows start thinking that it's winter and they don't want to furrow in winter. If by putting longer light hours in that section, you change its mind and it starts thinking that it's summer. So you get a much, much better conception rates on it. That also improves on your boar sperms if you give it longer lights, because nature is still a big factor in any animal. We can't breed everything out of them. So it's a very important, those last two factors with the light is very important to get a good conception rate. Once we've gone to just a few slides here that you can see, that's the crates and the type of housing that we use, the AR crates. We also in that section, like on the bigger farms, is to keep the gilts separate so we can feed them separately. On the smaller farms where you don't have crates, you can have the bigger boar pens, sow pens for them. But an important factor is to try and keep your gilts on a different ration than your sow and boar. Sometimes on the small farms, it's not capable of doing it. But if you can, try and do it. But now we move on to the early gestation sections. The early gestation can be combined with a gestation in one room or building or pen. But those first 5 to 6 weeks is extremely important. You don't want to put any stress on those sows or other sows, worrying them during this period. And the reason is so the follicles and this can bind properly inside the sow. Also, very cool and calm sections. I always advise the people, whether it's small or big farms, to try and feed more than once or twice a day. And I've seen that and taken the heartbeats of these sows during feeding time. If they get very excited, their heart rates can go up 160, 180. Is everybody still there?
Yeah.
Okay.
We're all ears.
So the heart rates go up, the pigs get excited, and that is where you start losing your born alive piglets during that period. That is very important. If you can feed them more than once a day, they don't get that anxiety during feeding time. No stress therein. It's very important for that first 4 to 6 weeks period. The old system was still with the crates in early gestation to keep them calm for the first week. The new demand is to keep them free from day one. And during that period, we actually still, the farmer, I know the greenies don't want it, but in a farming operation, you still have to control and work with your sows. So the two things that I really advise that you can work with the new demand is either freedom stalls or ESFs. Now, the freedom stalls, the picture you see here is the freedom stall, which comes in much better for me. I'll just show you the video a little bit, and you'll see the sows. You can lock them in, you can work with them, and they've got their own, and they're very happy. You can see that sow coming out. She opens the gate herself with a double action. She's got a section where she can walk around, and then she can come back and be safe in the inside of the crate. There you can see they're going for their little run and exercise. So
yeah, very interesting.
Is free during that period from 7 days after insemination until a week before farrowing.
Also very good for socialization, huh?
Yeah. See there, she opens, she goes in, she can have her activity whenever she wants to. We've designed, Plant Corps have designed their own back gate. The other gates are normally just one. We've got a double action gate that prevents other sows of opening up the gate and worrying the sow inside. These sows, why are they a bit more active than the ones in the background? Is because they were locked in for the first 4 weeks. So I took the video. That's the first time they've been open in 4 weeks. So you can see how they're enjoying their movements. Here
Nice.
we've got all, and the gestation side is for the ESFs. That's electronic sow feeders, a little bit more open. And you'll notice very good insulation that we put into the houses for the Africa sun.
Yeah.
These houses, most of them are actually environmental control. We've also got the curtain houses, but on the houses that's not environmentally controlled with cooling, we tend to overspend on insulation in the roof, and that every cent that you spend on there or every dollar, you will get a return on to keep the temperature correct in their houses. That's just the ESF station where the sows come in electronically. They've got a transponder where the sensor reads it, it opens up, it gets fed, and then once it's finished feeding, the sow can go out. Very good system, but very high tech. Right, now we've got the next is the big pens, where most of the farms in Africa are still on there, is with the pens where you have 4 or 5 sows inside a group. And sows are very family orientated. They don't like too small groups. That's when the interfighting starts happening much more. That's why I prefer the ESFs and the freedom stalls where you can put groups of 15, 20, 30 pigs in a section, and you don't get that dominant sow fighting so much because there's too many other sows that's on the same level. Right. Are we still all together there?
Yeah. We're all here. We're all here. Yeah, we're enjoying your presentation, huh?
Yeah, like I said, it's a little bit exposure to what the new genetics not really actually required to give you that top production. And it doesn't cost much, even on a small farm, well planned, well designed to achieve these results. Now the furrowing section. One of the most important sections that we've got, that is actually your factory. So we really need to look to that section carefully. Mortality as low as possible, that you can achieve 5 to 7% as a norm, but most places 10 to 20. Sometimes with the free sows, you can go much higher. What we found is from that mortality, 50% is due to crushing and 40% due to hunger. That is in the early stages. Pigs don't get enough, don't get colostrum. The management there has to help those piglets. It pays to have a mother there or a person that's like a mother that will help those piglets. You will save 2-3 piglets per litter, and that will pay for that person. The temperature, very difficult house, because the piglets want 28 degrees, the sows want 20 degrees cooler. So we opt to have a temperature of about 24 degrees in the houses there, if you don't have mechanical ventilation and separate heating pads. Heating for the piglets is important. The feed, 10 to 12 kgs. There, the sows must eat as much as what they can to produce your 10 to 14 liters of milk for a good litter of 100 kgs at weaning time. When it's too hot, the pigs will drink more water and eat less. So my argument is always to say milk is cheaper than creep. If you keep that house cool, or you keep your sows eating as much as possible and drinking as much as possible water during that lactation period, you will produce the milk. Milk is healthier than a creep, and sow feed is cheaper than a creep. So in a natural way, it's only when you start getting more than 14, 16 piglets from a sow that you have to help. After 14 days, 10 days, it's good to introduce the creep then to get the pigs used to the solids. When we look what we discussed there about the crushing, it's important to get the correct furrowing crate to protect the sows. There's two. My personal preference is the bow crate instead of the finger crates. The finger crates, the first 4 or 5 days, you can have piglets that's perfectly healthy, and the next moment they're dead. What happens is, if you look carefully and you do a post-mortem on it, you will find some ribs broken through the lung, and that comes from crushing against the finger crates when the sow moves around, or the other piglets squeezing the smaller ones against the crate. So my preference is for the bow crate to protect, and the piglets can come in. The anti-crushing bar that's on these crates, you can see them here, that prevents the sow there's the other one on the other side. It's slightly narrower than the rest of the crate. So that prevents the sow of lying on top of the piglets. She's got to go down in a shoulder and then rolls to move the piglets out underneath her. Those anti-crushing bars are very important to prevent the crushing. Here you can see we've got the cast iron underneath the sow. That's also to keep the sow cooler, stops mastitis, and the piglets don't like to lie on the colder section. They'll be on the PVC or under the heat lamp. The other factor that if we look at this crate is against the wall. People try to save the passage or space and put a pig against the wall. I've looked at these sows, and normally they just fit in and they lie with their nose against the wall there. And what happens there is that they breathe in and out. If you put your hand in front of your mouth like that and you breathe 20, 30 times, you will find that you actually recycling old oxygen back in there, and you can feel you're not getting the proper energy. If you've got a passage, it's very easy. You can see here's the sow's snout. She is getting fresh air in from the passage. And pigs or any human being or anybody, fresh air keeps you healthy. And it's unbelievable how important this little section has come into our sows on our clients since we've put it in. The cool air will always come into the passage area because there's no pigs there. So the hot air rises up where the pigs are, and the cool air will come down here and then move straight into the pig. So whether you've got mechanical ventilation or natural ventilation, I can assure you, you will see a big improvement on your sows if you can do that. Here we see a little bit more. There's hoods over the sides for the piglets. It's all to help a little bit with the energy saving. You don't lose so much heat out of from the heat lamps. This is just a little ad-lib feeder that clips into the side of the farrowing pen to feed the creep. Right. If we look at the winner house, the piglets, we want to get that mortality as low as possible. Actually, in every section, we want to keep it as low as possible because that's where you make your money. Temperatures required there is from 28 start, even some colder places, 30 degrees, and then slowly bring it down over the next 6 weeks or 7 weeks until you reach 24, 22 degrees. I found a lot of people overstock that section. It's important to know the requirements per square meter for the piglets. If you're overstocking any farm or any pen, is the downfall of a lot of pig farmers. They just don't get the performance if you get overstocked. On a farm, when you start moving upgrading to the more commercial farms, this is normally the section that we advise everybody to go first for the environmental control houses. the reason is to try and keep the temperature as close to requirement as possible, and also to prevent any drafts in that section. Any wind or draft affects these little piglets. They've just been taken away from their mother. They're changing from milk to solids. So in their psychological section, they really get affected by it. If you go to natural ventilation, please make sure, especially in the winter houses, that you have your curtains, but these, we call them envelopes at the top, and there that this curtain slides in. That prevents any wind coming from the side into the building. So you've got a better control than just having a curtain without these envelopes. Feeders, feeding space, you've got to have enough feeder space. The other factor that's important is the water. A lot of water is permanently fixed at a height. Sometimes it's one nipple here and one nipple there and one nipple there. The best is these adjustable nipples. You just clip that and you slide it up and down as the pig grows. Here you can see clearly here's a little pig, but it can drink. But if that piglet is over there, if the nipple is up there, it can't reach it and it can't get enough water. The moment when it can't drink water, it doesn't eat. And they don't grow. In the very hotter areas, we put perforated ceilings in so we can bring more air in through the ceiling and also prevent any drafts in that building. You can have your steel penning, which the movement of air is more constant than on your solid PVC boards. There is a place for it. People, you keep diseases from one pen out from the other one. So on both those, it's got its odds, advantages and disadvantages on. The finishing houses, here your pigs come in at 23 to 32 kgs. They're much stronger. They can accept more change, but also to have the correct size area for it. Good water and good air and ventilation there, whether it's natural or mechanical. People tend to think, especially on the smaller farms, it doesn't matter whether the pigs are in a muddy area or wet area. If you put a pig in a pigsty, they live like pigs, but put them in a pig house, then they live like in a house. And they perform much, much better. If you don't have slatted areas, try and keep that house as clean as possible and not to use too much water. With concrete, any wet area that stays damp, that's where all the diseases breed. It is better to rake the dung up on a non-slatted area than washing it off with a hose pipe. Just some different feeding systems in the finisher. Here we've got a wet feeding system that feeds the pigs into the troughs, and the dry feeding system that comes the meal or pellets into the silos and then feed into the with either a chain system or a flex auger. Here you can see a dry system running, feeding 2 lines from one. Normally we run one section here and one section there. For our natural ventilated houses, it works very well to have what we call a 2-zone floor. That you have either plastic or any section that's a different material. This is a plastic PVC slat, solid area, and PVC. You'll see on this design here, all the corners are covered in your pen. And that's where your pigs will dung. It's always in the corners. So that's where your slatted area is. Why do we ask for the 2-zone different material in a building for natural ventilation? It is your concrete will always be cooler than your PVC. So when the air comes in, you form a circulation that air will come through the curtain onto the concrete. The hotter area will be on the PVC, and then you'll get your circles there. That air will come into the passage, go to the PVC, and then go out of the building. We've done the smoke test. This system works the best for us on the natural ventilated houses in Africa. They really are efficient. These are just wet feeding tanks. If you are in an area where there's a lot of waste, like products from hotels and that, you can mix it in here and then feed it out. Here you can see the valves that feeds the wet feeding. Between the houses, if we touch just lightly there, keep grasses, plant trees on the sides. That's all to keep the environment cooler and more natural than just bare ground between your houses. Right, that's in short on the animal side. On the waste side, what is important is to realize the value of your slurry or your waste and piggeries. One of the best fertilizers that you can get, it builds your soil up. It's got so many advantages which a lot of farms don't use. If it's used correctly, you will find that your land use improves so much. The systems that we use mostly is the flush system. It's got minimum maintenance. There's no slurry in contact with any soil for pollutions. What it is that you either have small channels underneath the buildings with slats over it. That is the plug with a pipe underneath the building. So you just lift the plug up, the slurry washes in there, and it goes straight to your manhole or slurry pit on the outside. Here you can see what we did on this specific. You can see there's quite a bit of at the back from all the houses. These are 3 small holdings that we combined, and all their slurry comes into, they own the slurry pit together with their 3 or 4 piggeries around there. It goes in there into the slurry pit. From the slurry pit, you pump that slurry out once a month, or when it's full, into a small screw press. The screw press presses all the water out, which goes into this tank here. And the solids, you can put on a tip trailer. Here, for example, it's an old feed wagon that they put it in, and then they just dump it in rows to store the solid until they can put it onto their lands once the crop is taken over. With this system, you've got your liquid is clean, you can irrigate with it, you can, your vegetables or maize, it is a bit strong, you have to mix it with some fresh water, but your nutritions is also all stored for you that you can use and spread out once a year or twice a year. A bit on these houses, the way that we built them is, you can see here's all the slurry lines underneath the buildings, the plugs, the floors get put. It's just a steel structure with the walls that we put up. Slats move in and they get placed together. Insulation, then the roof sheeting. Here is the slurry pits underneath the slats. Slats span from this wall to that wall, and that is where the plug is that you pull out, and all the slurry will go into the pipe to your slurry pit. Here you can see the slats been laid over the pit, and a fully slatted house with solid paving in the middle. Can see I'm running a little bit short now on time. I'm going to just do it a bit quicker there to me.
Yeah.
These are just the flex augers from the feed bins going into their houses and then distributed to the different feed lines. These are the dispensers in the buildings for the pigs. I just made a short little list of things that you could look at, additional equipment that's not normally touched on in the designs. Here we have bird nettings to close your houses. If you've got open houses, try and put bird netting on, whether it's the PVC or wire. Birds are the carriers of a lot of pig diseases, and you'll be very surprised how much food they actually eat. The outside, what did I say? Something wrong there?
Yeah, they eat so much food, and they can spread so much disease.
Yes, no, it's a factor that we don't really look at as those birds coming in.
Correct.
Yeah, this is the biosecurity fence around your buildings. All the feed tanks are on the inside, so you fill them out. There's nobody from the outside coming into the buildings. Just the feed mill also can be placed inside a piggery. Just a touch of some cattle equipment that we've got to feed cattle with robots. And that is my short story there, pushed into a quick thing. Most of these subjects that I just touched on, we can actually talk a whole hour just on breeding or farrowing.
Yeah.
And what Tumi asked me is just to get a general knowledge for people on the new housing.
Yes.
And more eco-friendly for pigs.
Exactly.
If I can leave one very important factor in, do not design or listen to somebody that builds houses or any design in the piggery to please himself,
Yeah,
the first thing you got to look at is do it to please the pig,
exactly.
and that pig will pay you back with big money.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's
Exactly.
very important to look at your pig, make him happy, put him in a good house, and he'll get performance. I mean, these genetics from Tumia is unbelievable. If you put them into the right a house or environment in there and look after them, you do not need 1,000 sows. You'll do exactly the same with 300 sows instead of 1,000 sows. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Any questions?
Thank you
You're
very,
welcome.
very much, Joe, and thank you very, very much for your wealth of knowledge. I take home one thing as well. Uh, Considering the heat and the temperature of most of our countries back in Africa,
Yeah,
it is very, very important that we use isolated roofings.
yeah,
It's very, very important. When temperatures go as high on the equator at 38 degrees Celsius, and
yeah,
you can even get sunburns. So you can imagine how hot it is in some pig bends. Now, when we use ordinary zinc roofs, which are main conductors of heat, you can imagine when you have 38 degrees outside, in the burns you can get as much as 45.
yeah.
So it is very, very important. This is one take home from your speech. The other thing is, it is the fact and the role of the environment. I mean, the house for the pigs, as you have said earlier. It is very important to know that it is one of the pillars of piggery, successful pig farming. Okay, and also the waste. Yeah, many of us don't even know what we can do with the waste, how to process it. Thank you very, very much, Joe, for your time, and thank you for giving us this insight. Now, the floor is now open for questions. So, if you have any questions, please indicate so that we can follow an order. Uh, Once so that yeah, we can your question can be answered. Please indicate all those with questions or all those who can write the questions in the chat. You can also write them, then it will be asked. So someone is asking, Christine is asking if these equipments are available in Kenya. Said if your equipment are available in Kenya, Joe.
Yes, it's available. What we do, it depends on, they can just email us. We have supplied equipment in Kenya, whether it's silos and crates. We normally get from the clients what they want, and then we advise them which one is the best, and then we can send them from there. The reason why we don't keep lot stock in a country that hasn't got many pigs is that a lot of these equipment
Just a moment. There is a.
in a country that hasn't I don't know what's happening there.
Yeah, I don't know either. Something. Just a moment.
Okay. Is to actually manufacture the thing to suit the client.
Can we? Okay, I'm going to mute everybody. So it's. Yeah, I don't either. Something. Can we mute all mute ourselves, please? Because it's okay. So please, Joe, unmute yourself, Joe, please. Please unmute yourself.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Yeah, it is available in Kenya. It depends on what equipment they want. But our email is on the screen there, and they can just email us and we can put them whatever they require.
Okay. So any other question, please? Can you indicate any questions? Any other questions, please?
Yeah, Tommy, I have a very terrible network problem here. So most of
Okay.
the things he's been saying, I got little or nothing. So I'm just worried because it was quite fruitful. I was just seeing mainly pictures. Is it possible
Um,
to have a video of
yeah,
all of
yeah, it will be loaded. It will be loaded, and you will get the link.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah, yeah.
Thank you. Yeah.
So, any other questions? So it means everything was perfect, Joe. You very, yeah. It was a super one, and yeah. In fact, it's very very important to stress the fact that not genetics alone doesn't do it. For us to have a good and overall piggery, successful, efficient piggery business, the environment is also important. I think Kwabena has raised his hand. Please, Kwabena, unmute yourself nicely and ask your question. Thank you. Kwabena.
Please, how much does it cost? The average cost
Oh, average cost of what?
of the equipment and the housing?
Uh, yeah, that's a big question.
Yeah,
It's
there's
it's
so
not.
many.
Yeah, so many
There's so
equipment.
many,
But
but
yeah, please, Joe.
you can work if you really want to have a modern farm. To build a modern farm with everything in, I'm talking the last 6 months, you could work on roughly one. You can work about $5,000 to $5,500 per sow.
Third place.
A sow place, but with all its followers.
Yeah.
That includes all your water, electricity,
Everything included.
everything included there.
All right. So Kwabena, you got the answer to your question. Any other question, please? Any other question, please? So in the absence of any other question, I will now probably, yeah, I'll actually thank Joe for coming along with us, sharing his wealth of knowledge. And yeah, we thank you very, very much, Joe, for sharing with us. And
Pleasure.
we are so grateful for that. And yeah. And
And to me,
yeah, please.
if I just my last thing say, any of your members, if they can send it to you or directly to me, if there's any questions or advice they're looking, they're most welcome. I'll give it for free.
Yeah, your email and your contact is on. Is
Yeah,
also
plant
already
core.
on the
Yeah,
presentation, and it will be
yeah.
it will be shared around. and you will. I'm sure all those who are interested will contact you directly. So yeah. So we're calling it a day until next time, and when we'll be joined again by Michelle Launey is a international technical director for Axiom. Will be joining us next time. So we will have to call it a day for today, and till next time. Thank you very, very much. Thank you, Joe.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much. Thank
Thank
you.
you. Joe.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Oh, Chefawe. Oh, the health status. Yeah, I will answer you. I will talk to you. I will chat you up.
Okay.
I will chat you
Okay.
up.
Thank you.
I will chat
Okay.
you up. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, there are some questions here. Okay. Okay. If whoever wants, all those who don't have, whose emails address we don't have, you can drop your email. I'll put it on the chat so that you get the presentation shared. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
All right.
Thank you, Tommy.
Yeah. I'm sorry. It was the network was, but it's recorded and you can have everything. Huh?
Please, that would be so nice.
You
It
have
was
it on the YouTube on YouTube. I will share the
okay.
link with you,
Okay,
and
beautiful.
yeah, you will see it there.
All right, lovely. Thank you. Talk to
Okay.
you. All right then. Take care.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Bye.
Bye.
Very, very good. Very fruitful.
Yeah.
Very
Michelle
fruitful.
is coming back next time.
Oh, wonderful.
So we're having Michelle again.
All right, that'd be cool. Oh wow. All right. That'd be really nice.
Okay.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.